It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta beat.
Welcome back, everyone that is listening that we love, which is everyone. We love it. Who's talking right now?
Who you don't love, which is me. Welcome back to me, because, things that transpired.
Does anybody else hear that other voice? Is it just me or I'm crazy? Welcome back, Jay.
The fact that we can hear your voice is actually what's a miracle right now.
I think people are a little tired of hearing my voice, especially after last week for, an hour and 15 minutes of it. Even I was just like, oh, God, Jay, shut up.
now you know what I feel like each week. Hey-o!
Oh, my God. Well, if we just listened to the recording that we had last week after the first run-through of it, I just shut up the whole time. It would have just been you.
It probably would have been better that way, let's be real.
It would have just been silence, and all of a sudden... Yeah, that's actually a really good point, Jay. It's like, no one knows what the heck's going on. Yeah, so just in case anybody doesn't know, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. And when I say we, I mean me. Jay didn't do anything wrong. It was me that did not have the mic set up properly. But we're not going to have that happen again, right, Jay? Because I see that little green meter going, bop, 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 bop.
It's not like I wasted an hour and a half of my time to not even be on a podcast.
You have nothing better to do. It's not like you need to prep for your matches.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one this week, but we'll get into that.
You're just too good, bro. You don't need to prep. Why do you even prep?
Prepping's for squares.
It's for suckers. That's what it is. Hey, how about that intro? Not bad. Hey, so we were looking forward to doing this episode even before the last one started, as horrible as that one went.
Yes.
It honestly, this... I don't even know. We probably shouldn't waste a whole lot of time on other things because we could be here for hours.
This one could be a doozy. This one's going to be a little bit of a long one, I think.
Oh, I don't even care. Everyone can shut it off if they want to. I don't whatever. I might not even listen to the whole thing. No, so oh my God, we got to talk about the recaps for week 7 like we always do. The standing update is going to be hella interesting.
It's a good one.
Because as of week 7 is complete, now we have clinched playoff teams. We have now eliminated playoff teams. We have a clearer picture. We're going to get into who can make it, who can get knocked out, the highest you can fall. Well, the lowest you can fall, the highest you can grow. We have no idea. We can't go over matchups when it comes to playoffs because everyone can move up or down in 3 spots at least, which we're going to talk about probably what we want to see. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. It's like, who do you want to beat really badly in round 1? Things like that. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about our megas, obviously, and how great they've been all season. We're going to get to our game of the week for week 8, and that one is, just stick around. And we're going to do our amazing Pick'em segment. That's my favorite thing to do. Everybody loves so much. And no WPL Academy, guys. Sorry. We have too many important things to say, so you'll just have to wait to get better at Pokemon next week.
Next season.
Yeah, we might do some WPL Academies. Hey, just so everybody knows, when we go over these match recaps, it's for fun just to kind of say like, hey, this is what happened just in case you didn't watch it, blah, blah, blah. We, using Prankster and Psychic Terrain, blah, blah, blah. We all do it. But in the end, the goal is to make everyone a better player. Learn from everyone else's mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from Jay's mistakes. And definitely learn from your own mistakes. So when we talk about these matches and how they go and stuff, well, you learn different strategies, different ways to deal with certain threats, things like that. So tune in. Learn something as you go. The more you're around it, the better you're going to get at it. And everyone's going to get better in the end. And we're going to have a better league.
Yay! Well, wait. Do we want that? Are we sure we want that?
I think it's getting too good, but we'll see. And at the end of the season, we will have a doozy of an announcement, which I haven't. Yeah, I think Jay knows about it, but I didn't tell him I was going to announce the announcement. But there will be an announcement that is Very cool, and I think everybody will find very, very cool. So, so tune in. Wait another 3-4 weeks for it, everybody, on the edge of your chairs. So rather than wasting 5 minutes and 30 seconds or so on an intro, let's hop into the recaps.
Yay.
So, oh my God, we have an order of what we want to do, but so many things happen this week. So maybe what we'll do is we'll talk about the significance of the match before we talk about it, and then we'll say what happened after, obviously who won and where that sits both players, and then we'll move on to the next one. I think that'll be good, right, everyone?
Yes.
So do you hear all those voices, Jay? No. Oh
what are they telling you to do? What are they telling you to do, Jay?
Could you imagine at the end of this podcast, I listen to it back, it's just me, and I'm just a new schizophrenic. I've been talking to me the whole time. Anyway.
The J&J podcast is really just your personalities.
Oh my God, it's like a Fight Club movie. What a great movie.
Hey, rule number 1.
Don't talk about Fight Club. Talk about what? Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Talk about the matchup between Dublin and Space City. That's what we're going to talk about.
That is a good one to start with. Dublin Delmais, he was sitting middle of the standings. I think he was like 6th place, something like that. Let me actually pull up the standings of before the week started. Thank God I save those every week. Week 7 standings. Okay. Yeah, so before the week started, Dublin was at 5th spot. Space City was at number 1. Kind of hard for either team to really get knocked out of the playoffs, but because of how this went, one of those teams is there's a chance, not likely, but there's a chance. So not a whole lot to play for, just 2 really, really good teams going at it. Dublin Delmais brought his Klefki, Insin, Hatterene, P2, Doug Trio, and Kingler. Those 2 we haven't seen a whole lot, Doug Trio and Kingler. And then on Space's side, the amazing Metagross, Tabu Finney, Mienshao, Umbreon, the staple, Tangrowth, and Jellicent, which we haven't really seen, have we? The Jellicent?
No. Not really. I think he's brought it a couple weeks, but it's never seen the field of battle.
He's a liar. That's what he is. He brings it and says, I might bring this. You only wanted to make it look like you were going to bring Jellicent. You're a phony.
Yes,
anyway.
accurate.
Oh, my God. So what happened? This one was kind of crazy. Like, it was just kind of like, Game 1 was really, really close. Game 2 was kind of a beatdown. But in the end, I think lack of Trick Room was kind of the story for Dublin. I think if he has such a good Trick Room mode, I feel if he got Trick Room set, it probably would have done a little bit better for him. Game 1 was really, really nice. He led 2 Trick Room setters. He might have hit Trick Room with his Hatterene, but it got faked out. But the P2 with the download boost, it was probably more so one of his damage dealers at that point, and he made that decision. But it's really scary looking down at 2 Trick Room setters, 2 good ones too, in a lead, especially when Trick Room would really hurt. So I think that's probably what was going on in Space's mind. To be honest, it wasn't looking great for Space in Game 1.
We got the Lex got that Lex being Dublin Delmais got that double KO. Was that turn 2? Was that? It was early. It was turn 2 or 3.
It was pretty early, yeah.
And you got the double KO, and it was like, wow, somebody's actually taking it to Space right now. But props to Space. I mean, he had his the ultimate combo in the back with Finney and Metagross.
He got the 2 he wanted out there, yeah. Like they're so good together. And like one hits on the physical side, one hits on the special side. They don't really share weaknesses. If anything, they have resistances from their weaknesses and such, and things like that. But once that Metagross gets its weakness policy going, you can't burn it. You can't lower its stats. You got to change the terrain. You got to Metagross is hard to deal with as it is, let alone putting it next to a Finney. Activates the weakness policy with Shadow Ball. And then the rest is history. We did get to see a G-Max Kingler. I will say that.
We did.
Which was really cool.
And, it was cool. It didn't unfortunately didn't quite have the damage output to break through that Metagross.
Yeah. That thing's such a problem.
Yeah.
Like we were talking before the season, who let Seattle get Charizard and Venusaur? We should be saying who let Space get Finney Metagross. I mentioned it before the season started. I'm like, yeah, that's a good combo, isn't it? Wow, good job. Meanwhile, we're sitting here going, oh God, this is going to be horrible.
Yeah, no, it's been clutch for him, and Space just continues to roll. I mean, he's
Unbeatable.
nigh unbeatable right now.
He's unbeatable.
After he lost, after he got that double KO at the beginning of game one, he 6-0'd him after that, basically. So,
Well, when it takes 5 hits to KO one Pokemon, he eventually did it. Hats off to him. He eventually took out that Metagross. He probably felt really good about it. It's like, oh god, die finally.
yeah.
And then Finny just finishes it off. It's like, oh yeah, there was another one. But you could definitely tell that he was ignoring that Finny, and Space is probably just like, okay.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Finny, yeah, so it was a really good match, game one, and then game two. I think really what it came down to is the turn one play from Space City as well. Protect Metagross coaching from the Mienshao. Coaching, just in case anybody doesn't know, coaching goes through Protect.
Right.
And just in case you're wondering if a support move goes through Protect, so you can protect yourself and at the same time support yourself for the next turn, have a look at Bulbapedia, actually. It has a really, really cool part on the side, like a sidebar on the right, that actually says affected by Protect, not affected by Protect, things like that. That's really what you need to look at, and coaching is one of those. So yeah, basically he got the +1 attack, +1 defense, and then after that read on the max guard from the Hatterene, it was just GG. Metagross just KOs all 4 Pokemon, and it's over. Ran right through it. And that's pretty much all she wrote for that match. We said we didn't want to take a long time on this match, but where does this leave both players, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, Space stays at the top of the standings. No real change there. I mean, he was already clinched for a playoff spot, so he probably clinches the top half now. But that's about it. Dublin though does get put into a little bit of an iffy situation. Like you said, he's still in a pretty good shape. A win here would have clinched it for him. In fact, I think with how the rest of the week went, a game win would have clinched it for him.
Yeah.
But he still is technically in danger of missing the playoffs. Although, like you said, I think it requires a pair of people getting 2-0. Or I think
Stars to align.
Yeah, a couple people need to get 2-0 victories while he needs to lose 0-2 next week. So he's still in good shape, but definitely hasn't locked it up yet.
Exactly, yeah. There's really only 2 playoff spots remaining, which we'll get into, number 7 and number 8. 1 through 6 is all locked up. It's just where they'll fall.
Yep.
But so Distortion could go up, which we'll get into later. Dublin could go up. Spheo can go up, down, you know what I mean? So there's really 4 teams fighting for those last 2 spots, so that should be fun to see. So yeah, I guess we'll get into the standings a little bit later, but let's move on to the next match. Great Marsh Gastrodons versus the LA Linoons. Linoons not having the season he's dreamed of, that's for sure. At 0-6 before the week started, and just kept on going with the trend. Unfortunately, it's just not your season. It's just not. Sometimes things just don't go well, and you run into hot teams like Great Marsh right now. Great Marsh, like, there was nothing unlucky about this match. Unlucky that he ran into him, pretty much, I'd say. That I randomized the schedule and you had to face him. But, man, when Great Marsh is on, man, he is so freaking good.
Right. Well, and we saw another one of his midseason pickups, that Naganadel, he picked up at the same time as the Spectrier. And, yeah, I think he fixed the holes in his team, and now they're chugging along stronger than ever, and definitely a scary team to be facing come playoff time.
Well, he picked up that second mode. Like, he had such a solid Trick Room mode, but that's kind of all he had. He didn't really have a fast mode. And if he did, it wasn't great. But now he's got 2 incredibly fast Pokemon. Naganadel is, I think 121 speed. And Spectre is 130 base speed. So those things are just flying, right? So now that he's got two modes, you got something to think about. So, and I think that alone makes prep harder. It makes the in-game battles harder. It gives you just more options at your disposal in the match. So, so without getting into major details about the match, because we want to spend time on the preview for Week 8 and the playoffs, pretty much what did we see? We saw Naganadel kind of go off. Pretty much, it was Conkeldurr and Naganadel. Naganadel was the Dynamax threat on Great Marsh's team, but Conkeldurr managed to pick up 3 kills as well at the end. I was actually surprised. I thought Naganadel got actually a lot more kills than that, but 5's enough, I guess. So Great Marsh takes game 1 2-0. A little bit of help from Max Oozes and things like that, just to kind of. I think it got up to +3 at one point.
Yes, between the Beast Boost and one Max Ooze, yeah, like +3 a turn 2 is just crazy.
Yeah, one of the cool things, actually, just a little side note, just to waste some more time on this when we don't need to. The cool thing about going up against a Naganadel is the thing about Beast Boost is it boosts the highest stat you have. And all the Ultra Beasts that have it, usually the stat you want boosted is the highest. So Naganadel's speed stat is actually the highest stat it has naturally. So you actually have to go out of your way to make your speed lower than your special attack in order to get those boosts on the special attack from Beast Boost. So when you're prepping against it, it's almost like you don't have to prep against max speed timid Naganadel. You could actually kind of just use your head and be like, okay, you know, with modest or things like that, like no investment in speed, things like that. You can kind of just target one less than his max special attack, things like that. And it's not quite as fast as it shows on paper, right? So,
right, it does. Its special attack actually is slightly higher than its speed, but if it does go timid, that speed does jump the special attack.
Oh, is that what happens? Okay, because I always know I had to go out of my way to you can't go max speed or else it will actually be a higher stat than your modest. That's probably what I was trying to say, but I didn't say it.
Yeah. So if you go timid and you don't want the speed boosts, then you need to drop your speed a little bit. But if you go modest, then that's not a problem.
Yeah, you know what it's not a problem for is Kartana. Kartana, you could just max speed Jolly, go at it, and there's nothing that's going to stop that attack stat from going lower than your speed.
180 attack stat? He doesn't have a stat that gets higher than that?
Jay, it's 181.
I was rounding.
It's 180. That's how Pokemon does it. That's how we're going to do it on the podcast. Okay, so game one, Great Marsh wins 2-0. It's a little too late after Celesteela got a couple kills at the end. But, yeah, when you have Spectric and Kelder at the end, it's kind of hard to, the crumbs to take care of that. But game two, man, was that fun to watch. Just put on a clinic. Yeah. It was just Naganadel just went back to work again, KOs the Ndidi. He tried to snarl. LA tried to snarl to kind of stop it from kind of snowballing like we always say. He did manage to play around the Max Ooze by switching into the SCAV from the Clefable. It was really, really good bait, wasting a Max turn. Because just in case anybody doesn't know, Poison doesn't even hit Steel types, and Clefable is also weak to Poison. So it was a good play around, but there's really only so much you can do against someone that just has such a good matchup against your team, such as Naganadel.
Yeah, and then the Lux Racing there was snarling. So instead of Naganadel getting to +3, it actually, I think, was pretty much sitting at -1 for a good chunk of the match. And he was able to play around it, but one thing that Great Marsh was able to do is he got the Sun up with a max flare from Naganadel, and even at -1, the flamethrowers Naganadel was doing was just putting in work. I think he had a couple other Pokemon with fire, Indeedee with mystical fire, things like that. So that Sun actually really ended up helping him in the long run.
Yeah, people don't realize that even if you don't have a weather team, weather can definitely help certain amount of moves and stuff, such as the flamethrower. Like the cool thing about max moves that set weather is the first one does damage, the second one does real damage. Right. It's basically become stab, pretty much. You get the 50% boost. It was actually really cool. There's one thing that I actually had Luxray once, and the reason I didn't use it is because its speed is kind of middle tier. But if you throw a Scarf on it, it definitely outspeeds some things, and Intimidate and Volt Switch and Snarl, things like that. It could be such a pain. So yeah, like I kind of wanted to see the Choice Scarf on the Luxray, but I guess he kind of saw it as I want to be able to switch moves if I need to. But going first before that Naganadel would have been probably nice. But that's just a me thing. It's really easy for me to say, oh, you should have done this, should have done that, But at the same time, in prep, you come up with all these scenarios that in-depth prep would reveal rather than something that someone just on the outlier looking in, right?
Right.
Yeah. So game two, Great Marsh takes 3-0. A little bit of tiebreakers, which is pretty cool. 4-0s are nicer, but 3-0s are real nice as well. So where does that leave us? LA Linoons, Falls to 0-7 on the season. Again, a season he probably wants to have back. Oh, he'll be back season 5. Don't you guys worry. And I think he'll have a little bit stronger of a draft, and he'll be coming back with a vengeance. And I can see him definitely being a playoff contender next season. And he's just played pretty well. It's just the games sometimes just don't go that way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And Great Marsh is sitting. He clinched a playoff spot with this one.
Yes, he did.
Gets to that ever so coveted 5-win mark. He is technically sitting at the bottom of the 5-win teams, but that doesn't matter. He's in the playoffs. We'll have more later on exactly how high or low he could get from that point.
Just need a sniff. That's all you need. You squeak in, you just get a sniff of the playoffs, and then anything can happen, right? But I'd prefer not to face one of those top-tier teams like Space, yourself, Vitor, things like that. I don't want to play any of those guys, so I need to finish top 4. Not like the bottom's any easier, but I'd rather face the bottom than the top, right? So, so moving on to the next match, Florida versus Sveal. This one hurt me to watch. Did you watch this one when it happened, or was it one of those you watched the replay when you had a little bit more time?
I think I watched the replay on this one.
Did it hurt as much in the future as it did live?
Yeah. It definitely was just like, oh my gosh, it was just one of those compounding, just like this is just getting out of hand.
I was just like he left voice chat pretty early after the match. He came in, I was actually really happy he was in. A lot of guys don't really want to join after something like that happens, but what happened, Jay? Well, let's get into it. So body slam Altaria happened. Body slam with its 100% paralysis chance. Obviously that's not the case. It's 30, but with that, a lot of people don't realize this. Altaria has the same physical attack as it does special attack. Right. Its move pool is really good, and with the Pixelate ability, it makes Body Slam stab, and gives a 30% boost from the Pixelate ability as well. And not to mention that para. I don't think he put it on there for the paralysis. It was probably just nice to have. Body Slam's a decent attacking move. I think it's base 80. It's 85 power, I think, or 80 or 85. So it's good. Physical side, chance of paralysis, good move. I didn't think he would expect it to paralyze every time it hit. And not to mention, after it hits, you just can't move. You're just frozen.
You're just like, yeah, what do you do with that? Like,
what do you do? The whole time I was just like, this is just getting out of hand now. So what happened? Good play around. I don't think Ant-Man played poorly. Sphelavor Calicos. He didn't play poorly at all. He actually set himself up really nicely with his his Crocodile. Togetic was led. I guess he didn't really like it in the lead. Hard switched in basically whatever he wanted in. One of them was the Dusk Noir. One was what else did he switch in? The Gallade was another switch in that he had. He definitely got the matchup he wanted. It's just when things like that happen, there's not a whole lot you can do. So paralysis goes off with the body slam, activates the weakness policy too. He couldn't have drawn it up any better. But then he couldn't move from paralysis after literally right when the body slam happened, paralysis happened, couldn't move. Max 1 turn gone. Turn 2. Max turn 2. I think he got a hit off.
He did. Yep. I think he kills the Toxic Croak, I want to say, that turn.
I think he did with a Quake, yeah.
Yep.
I didn't write it down, but I think that's what happened. Then turn 3, paralysis again. And then and he actually did go for a max guard because we were kind of surprised how the paralysis was even at, because it was slower than a Raichu at that point. Because it's paralysis with a half speed. And then Raichu just KOs with the max overgrowth just to basically last nail in the coffin. It looked like he tried to set up Trick Room 2 as a last-ditch effort to save Game 1, looking at his win condition and saying, well, the only way I'm going to win here is if I set up Trick Room, and then he gets crit on the Max Lightning.
Not just that, like, he ally switched thinking that he would to avoid it, and Florida went into the Gallade slot, who ally switched away, and brought the Dusknoir into that spot anyway, so... Not that was necessarily a lucky situation. It was just one of those, like, oh my gosh, I just can't get anything to go my way right now.
Well, 2 paralysis in 3 turns, and then the crit the following turn, and But the only other mention I saw was Sucker Punch went into Gallade and they didn't have Justified, which I was a little surprised of. I've never seen anyone willingly use Steadfast, but that's just me. It might have been an accident. It might have been, well, maybe if I get faked out, I want the speed boost. Who knows?
Maybe it was just I'm not using beat up this week, so he just didn't even click it. It just whatever is the default.
I'm curious if the Dragon Bolt on his team even had beat up. I bet it did. Could you imagine if he beat up and went, oh it didn't have Justified? But that would have just been icing on the cake for just a horrible, horrible week for him. So Florida wins game 1 2-0, and then game 2 just a whole lot of more of what we already saw. Trying to get field position with the Dusk Noir, switching in, switching out, things like that. And sets up Trick Room turn 2. Very, very nice. Altaria body slams the Crocodile again. Paralysis again. And the fun begins. Crocodile. Max turn 2. Paralysis. Crocodile. Turn 3. Paralysis. Next turn out of Max. Paralysis. Next turn out of that. Paralysis. 4 consecutive turns not able to move. I'm surprised he lasted 4 turns.
Right.
But
yeah.
What do you do?
I mean, I had to do a quick getting frozen and paralysis is 30% chance, right?
Is it? I actually don't know. I thought it was 25%. I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, either way, it's around a 0.2% chance to get
4 times in a row.
To get it 4 times in a row.
You made history, Spiel.
Right. No, I mean, obviously, not all of them ended up mattering, but any of them.
Anytime your Pokemon can't move, dude. Anytime you can't move, it's just you're trying to crawl back into the match. Like he might have already had it won at that point. I would have to go back and look, but
obviously after the first ones are obviously like the worst, but after that, it's icing on the cake. It's just not.
You throw your hands in the air. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Like,
if the last 2 aren't paralysis, then I think Florida still wins. 1-0 or 2-0. But yeah, I mean, getting 2 paralysis in a row is just ridiculous.
Let alone
4. Yeah.
We've seen some hacks this season. By the way, Florida takes the game 3-0, winning the set 2-0 as well. He's already out of playoff contention, Florida, but Spiel was definitely needing that win. But to put him in a better spot, which we'll get into later.
I actually, just throwing that out there, before. Well, I don't know where it was exactly when this match occurred, but at the beginning of the week, Florida still technically could have made the playoffs.
Oh, until other events happened. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so, I mean, it was a super long shot, but yeah, other events happened that Florida needed. So Florida is actually out after that. But yeah, Ant-Man definitely, or Spiel, took a big hit in his playoff chances this week.
And it just hurts so much. Like, if you lose, it's just like, okay, fine. But when you lose like that, like, we've had some doozies of hacks this season, and some of them are that's horrible, man. This one is the worst. We've seen some hacks this season, like timely hacks that have just been really, really bad. This was the worst one I've seen.
Right.
Like I as important of a match it was for him too, this one hurt me just watching it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one was I feel for you, man, but hey, make your own luck this week coming up, right? Take the win.
Okay.
Again, we'll get into how he's going to do it. I think he's very capable of doing it, and his opponent is going to do everything to stop him from doing so. But next match we're going to talk about is mine.
That's not so excited, Jay.
Well, I lost. Surprise. So, Toronto 6 versus Sao Paulo Excadrilles. Not really a significant match when it comes to the standings. I was 5-1. Vitor was 4-2 going into the match. Both of us had already all but locked in our playoff position. I think I had locked at that point, but I didn't want to risk it. It doesn't look like that way because I lost. But no, game 1 was crazy. So he goes Mega Latios and Xatu. I went Meowstic Fungus. Based on the 6 that he brought, he didn't bring any. He didn't bring his grass types. He didn't really bring anything to really stop me from doing. I decided to kind of go with the reason I drafted Fungus. One of the reasons was skill swap Meowstic onto Fungus. to give it Prankster, so I get a Prankster Spore.
Yep.
So that was a fun tech. It didn't work out in the end. It worked out in the match. Like, it actually worked the way it was designed. Unfortunately, I can't spore a Magic Bounce Mon, which is Xatu. So
yes.
I spored the one I wanted, and then he wakes up right away.
That was the worst part of that situation was you got the Spore off on the Latios. It slept that turn, and then it woke up turn 2.
I got the guaranteed sleep turn, and that's it. Fate's just like, nah, you're not getting any extra.
Which, based on how this game ended, was actually, I think, really crucial.
It could have been. Yeah. Any 1-0 win is. You could always look back at any little tiny thing in the game and could have gone either way. But I think Vitor just played so freaking well. Like, he needed to get his weather position, which he maintained the entire time. And yeah, my answer for Excadrill and Titar was my Mega Lucario, which outsped both of them. But when you have the sand up, the Excadrill just OHKOs back, and the whole time you could just tell we were like, no rain, no sand, no rain, no sand. And
you guys were both playing for that end game win condition. Unfortunately in this situation, it just barely fell his direction.
I don't lose many games with a smile, but that one I ended with a smile. I was just like, all right, fine, that was fun. Let's go get game 2, and I didn't. Surprise. Vitor's so good at recognizing his win condition, especially after he gathers information from game 1. So he saw that based on how I was playing it and the moves that were revealed, the items as such. He saw that the Regieleki was probably the best way to win, and he maxed it, and I was kind of on my heels the whole match. I saw there were win conditions. There were very few of them, but it's kind of hard to have a good player like that make any mistakes. So yeah, I don't think I had a chance of winning that game too once those leads came out, and he definitely had cutthroat mentality.
That's right.
That's what they call it. Yeah, he did not give me any chances to come back in, and that's just credit to a good player.
He played it flawlessly that game too.
He did.
And was able to.
Not like you have to play flawlessly to beat me, but he did make it easier for me.
That's right.
Yeah, but that's all we're going to get. One of the main thing was he max guarded his Regieleki, and I doubled into it, and I think that's where the game was pretty much lost, if it wasn't lost on the leads. But that was definitely the really bad one. Wow, great coverage, Jason. The bad one. No, the worst thing that happened to me in that game was that, and I definitely could have seen it happening, but he deserved to win, and
well, on the surface, and this is where information finding is so important. On the surface, you're thinking, he has a Regieleki, a Dynamax Regieleki on the field. You have a Dynamax Primarina on the field. That should be a win for him. But knowing from game 1 that you had the Wakan Berry, that halves the damage of an electric type attack, he knew that a Max Lightning probably doesn't kill Prim, and Prim was on its last turn of Dynamax, where Eleki had an extra one after that. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, well, I'm going to guard here, and then I'm going to come back, and I will kill even through the Wakan, when it's not Dynamax. So recognizing that, because like you said, the max guard there made sense, but when you first see it, you're like, wow, why isn't Eleki guarding in front of a Primarina? But then that information that he knew the berry was there, he knew how many turns of Dynamax were left. Like those are the kinds of plays that is going to get you championships. That's what it is. Those are the kind of plays that win you championships in this league. Is understanding what it's going to take to move forward in the match. And in a sense, he almost offered you his Xatu, but unfortunately you doubled into the Regieleki, so it kind of turned into a win-win for him. But
yeah, not to mention the electric terrain was up too. So I was half attack, but at the same time I was just boosted by the transistor ability, boosted by electric terrain, using max lightning. It's just he set himself up really, really nicely to win, and he definitely earned it. And sometimes you got to tip your cap. And I want to see you in the playoffs, Vitor. Let's make it happen. If you have to throw to make it happen, let's make it happen.
Well, I think at this point you need to throw to make it happen. But
I don't want to face space though. So I got to be careful with that.
No, as things go, you guys are both still clinched in the playoffs. It's just a matter of seeding at this point for you guys. So not a ton
Exactly.
of excitement
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah, with that too, we had another exciting match in Spider Phantom Troop versus the Sapphire Salamence. Inside team looking on the outside team. We had Kevs versus Octo, which everybody knows very, very well as a perennial playoff team, and this season's no different. So what happened? Inteleon happened, I'd say. Inteleon happened. It played really, really well into the roster of Sapphire Salamence, and with fake tier support and speed support from the Cotton Spore Cottony, it was just a really, really good combo. But a little bit of a scare. Sapphire takes game one. He took game one. I'm trying to think what actually happened. I think it was reading a max guard on turn 2. Porygon Z, normally it just nukes the biggest threat on the team. So obviously Octo saw that and decided to max guard his Inteleon. But he predicted the max guard and KOs the Gengar.
Yep.
And then next turn, it's just GG from that point because it takes a hit from Inteleon and then
barely.
PZ
I mean,
hits
barely.
it back.
It didn't take a very good hit.
Oh no, I think it did like 70% or something like that. It was
but it was just enough to be able to hit that Inteleon back. And Darmanitan came in and tried to do Darmanitan shenanigans and just put out some damage, but was able to hold on Mega Salamence. Yeah, I think there's a charm, and then also when Salamence came in, I believe it also got an Intimidate off in there.
Oh yeah, that too. It was the charm and the Intimidate. Yeah, like when you ruin a Darmanitan's life when you just lower its attack. So good job bringing charm on the Latias, and good job getting the win.
Good job on using charm there. It could be easy to just say, hey, I'm going to mystical fire this thing and just chunk it for some damage. But you don't want to let Darmanitan do things.
No, you don't let it do anything.
Rock slides, flinch it. You just charm it and just basically say, hey, you might even take my Latias here, but this is going to guarantee that what I have in the back will kill you and you won't kill me back.
Exactly.
So that was smart to go for the long game guaranteed win instead of just trying to get it over quickly.
Yeah, after a slow start to the season for Sapphire Salamence, he's really kind of showing people that, hey, I don't belong at the bottom for long. Taking a game. He strung together a couple wins there. He took Octo to a game 3, which is always an impressive feat. So yeah, he's another one that I think come next year he could definitely make a good jump in the standings and be a force to be reckoned with. Exactly, and I think just going back to what we were saying about LA, I think Kevs didn't exactly have the draft he wanted. It was a little bit of a one-dimensional team out of the draft. He's made the changes as the season's gone, and he's kind of rounded out his team very, very nicely. But sometimes it's too little, too late after starting 0-3. It's really hard to come back from that. But no, he's definitely a much better team than he deserves to be at the bottom of the standings. So yeah, definitely looking to see what he does in week 8. Yeah, week 8, that thing.
I don't care to see what he does. I think he's going to lose badly.
Oh yeah, are you facing him week 8?
Yeah.
I completely forgot. So back to the match. Game 2, Octo wins 3-0. Game 3, Octo wins 4-0. So Spider Phantom Troop takes the set 2-1. Gets a little bit of tiebreakers there with the 4-0 and the 3-0 involved. Again, Inteleon just went off. That's another player that just kind of, the more he learns throughout the match, the worse it is for you on the other side of the field. So yeah, Octo takes that one as he's taken many others. And again, Kev's played really, really well, but again, you got to tip your cap to your opponent sometimes. Let's get to your match, Jay. Your match. You didn't really need the win as badly as some other teams had this week because you were at the top looking down. You ended up getting it, but it wasn't exactly the most fun for you, was it?
No, I mean, I mostly I was tripping over myself most of the match.
Yeah, we'll get into a couple of those, but so you're facing Cascade Illusions, was facing Signwood Cyndaquils, Signwood being 0-6, as well as LA. 2 winless teams so far this season, but both definitely something you can't take lightly, even being one of the top teams against one of the bottom teams. Very, very strong team with Mega Mawile, Bulu, Gyarados, Dusclops, Clefairy, and don't forget Scary Glalie.
He never brought it. I thought he was going to bring it.
I
was
wanted to
hoping
see it. Bring it week 8 against Shadow. Wait, is it Shadow?
Yes. No, it's Vitor.
Oh, Vitor. Yeah, use it against Vitor. Yeah. But yeah, Glalie was something he drafted a little earlier, and we've all been waiting for it, and he just hasn't used it. So, if you're listening, just do it. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Oh my god. All right, so let's talk about all the times that Jay's made mistakes this match. No, I'm kidding. No, so in the end, he takes game 1, 1-0. Very, very close. Game 2, 2-0. Takes the set. He gets that very, very coveted plus-minus stat, the number 1 tiebreaker. You definitely didn't do poor in that category. But a 1-0 and a 2-0, it was definitely a lot closer than it looked, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I said, I was kind of tripping over. I actually had this really fun strategy that I wanted to use, and Dusclops Mawile lead kind of spooked me away from it because what I was hoping to try to do, just inside here, I was running a special Electivire, and I was going to run double discharge next to Manectric and get the Lightning Rod boost, while Electivire gets the Motor Drive boost, and they basically just sit there and boost each other all game.
That would have been cool.
Unfortunately, the one thing that I realized this about 3 hours before match, Electivire still dies to a Mawile if it's not intimidated. Now, I came to find out after the match when I was talking to Kevs that he didn't actually have any attack investment into Mawile. He actually had special defense investment instead. So I could have lived. But so I was actually had it primed set for my fun strategy, but I got spooked away from it. And because of that, I started tripping. Like I maxed the Electivire. You went for Max Lightning. Didn't mega my Manectric, so I accidentally max moved into my own Manectric there and gave myself a special attack boost, but really set him up. He was able to get Trick Room up and definitely put me into a hole turn 1 that I had to work my way out of through the rest of the match.
And what did it cost you? Well, 1 turn of Dynamax, I guess.
Well, it was 1 turn of Dynamax. Manectric was... I was able to mega my Manectric the next turn, but the Helping Hand counteracted the -1 Helping Hand on Dusclops, so he was able to kill my Manectric turn 2 before it did anything as well. I mean, I still got the -1, which was kind of nice, but yeah, it just really set me back from there. Luckily, he mostly ignored my my Electivire, and actually, I think it might have got switched out at one point as well, but I was able to get it back in to face his Gyarados end game, and yeah, Electivire wins that exchange, luckily.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I thought was like probably the MVP of the match was your Sableye. It burned almost everything, and when you put a Mega Mawile in a situation to 3-hit KO a Sableye, it did its job because it's been focusing on you the entire time, and you just, with the burn and the -1 and things like that, and it had the berry as well. It took 3 full play roughs from a Mawile. Not much can survive that, so he put himself in a good position to win.
Especially it being a super effective attack from a Mawile too. Like,
Stab super effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
yeah, no, it was a good game. It was fun going into the end there. I definitely was nervous. Definitely nervous I was going to lose. Getting the Electro Web hitting right there at the end to make sure that my Electivire would still go first on the Gyarados at the very end of the game.
Even if it airstreamed, yeah.
Yeah. Which it
did. So.
Yeah, actually, and I was doing it more so because I didn't have a lot of speed investment in the Electivire, so his Gyarados could have been faster than my Electivire. Because, like I said, I was planning on discharging to get that speed boost at the beginning. I never did. And so, luckily, he also didn't have any speed or much speed investment in his Gyarados, or else I think he probably wins that game. But
well, and you know what's crazy? If you didn't Electro Web there, I think you lose after the speed boost from the bounce. The max airstream, I think you lose that, so that was a good play on your end to pick up the win there. Game 2, a lot of burning and things like that. You just kind of crippled this whole team with burns and things like that, and then the back just comes in and just cleans up. So it wasn't.
Yeah, the big turn in Game 2 was I think he was expecting me to use like a flamethrower on my Salazzle, and I didn't. I think I taunted turn one. And so I think he was getting ready for me to do something else like that again, and he did a double
Oh
switch.
yeah,
He
yeah.
did a double switch into Bulu and Mawile,
Which loves heat
and
waves.
I happened to heat wave that turn. And it was at when he switched it in, I was like, okay, good. And then I saw the second switch, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good turn for me.
Oh,
Like
he's
this
gonna
is one of
regret
those like good
that.
turns. And they both hit, and they both chunked him. I mean, it didn't kill either one, but at that point,
It
like
basically
he
did.
had his other two mons were Dusclops Clefairy. So with Dusclops Clefairy, Mega Mawile, and Bulu, obviously Bulu is probably the Dynamax candidate, and it chunked for like 60 to 70%. I was able to just kind of clean up from there. That was definitely
Yeah.
the turning point of the match.
When your setup mons and stuff like in Salazzle, let's call it a setup mon, is KOing things or doing work when it comes to damage. It's always nice because the big damage dealers that are intended are just like, oh, thank you, I don't have to work as hard.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You can look at boosting your stats. You can look at playing defensive with your max moves, things like that, rather than going with stab damage. Right? You could be like, hey, I only need to do 30% health now on this hit. I can, let's for example use a max knuckle. I can boost my attack while I do this damage, so I can just finish it off. Rather than nothing, you just get terrain or something like that with your overgrowth or whatever it is. So, the star of the show, in my opinion, in game one was Sableye. Star of the show in game two for me was the Trevenant. I feel like it did really, really well, and Salazzle just put in a lot of work setting up the field for the win. So good job there. You're at the top looking down. Second place, Signwood Cyndaquils is 0-7 right now. He'll be back next season again. Still learning, but hopefully he builds on this season onto next season for something greater. But this brings us to Seattle versus Kyogre. Kind of a match that didn't really matter a whole lot when it came to the standings. Seattle and Kyogre were both kind of on the outside looking in, just kind of having fun. And it was a little bit of fun. We saw a Hitmontop, an offensive Dynamax Hitmontop, which was really cool. Got a bunch of KOs. Kyogre took game 1 4-0. Then Seattle took the following two games. It's kind of hard to come back after a 4-0 loss. But Seattle definitely just reared up and just figured it out. Saw that Hitmontop was probably his win condition and went with it. And sure enough, takes a 2-0 game 2, 3-0 game 3. And that's pretty much all she wrote, wasn't it?
Yeah, there wasn't. It was an exciting one to watch. He really did a good job of minimizing what Coco could do in that matchup. Getting a burn on it in game 2, and then I think he basically just obliterated it game 3. Yeah, he started. I mean, he started getting Hitmontop next to Tangela. Really, he was starting to get boosts on his Hitmontop, getting those attack boosts. Um, I remember thinking at one point, I think it was game 3. Hitmontop did like a max Mindstorm and like obliterated something. And I was like, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he's been sitting there getting attack boosts all game as well. And yeah, it's kind of unstoppable at that point. Hitmontop, a very underrated, bulky Pokemon, especially if you throw a Assault Vest on that thing. And recognizing that, you know, you put some support next to it like a Tangela, it's not getting hit to begin with, and then it starts bulking itself up. It can get scary pretty quick.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Intimidate combined with Assault Vest is just so nice. You get the attack drop on your opponent, and then you get the plus special defense that's already really high as it is on your own Pokemon. So it's almost like a dual defensive build Pokemon that does some damage, and Hitmontop did. Once it starts getting some Max Knuckles, Stab Max Knuckles, not to mention. I know it's only a 90 power move when it's maxed for the most part. Yes, it gets up to 100 sometimes, but 90 for the most part. Stab adds that 50% boost, and it just does even more damage. So nice job from Seattle. Definitely a season he wants back, but at the same time, he's putting up a showing to finish off the season. So thank you for that. You're entertaining us. Yes, we are entertained. Russell
Yes.
Crowe. Yes. Last match, last but not least. I want to spend some time on this match because this was the most important match of the week when it came to standings.
And it was as exciting as it possibly could have been as well, I think.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. both really, really good players, both really, really good sports based on how it ended and stuff like that. Like there are some turns they both would have wanted back. But we're going to dive into that now. Texas brought Lanoon, Tapu Lele, Kartana, Crobat, Volcarona, very scary, and Dragalge, which is definitely did some more work earlier in the season than later, versus Distortion Zone's staple Pokemon Mega Blaziken, recently acquired Dragonite, Whimsicott, first-round draft pick, Cobalion, pairs very well with the Whimsicott, Serena, and Slowbro, Bro, as he likes to call him. So we saw the Whimsicott Cobalion actually game 1, which you stare at those 6 in team preview. You just gotta, if you didn't bring something to prepare for beat up Cobalion, you didn't do the greatest prep. And sure enough, he did. Not exactly the way that you would see a defense against that strategy, because you bluff Rage Powder, but Whimsicott is not affected by Rage Powder because it's a grass type. And it gets the +4 attack. So he was just like, well, I survive an Airstream from that thing, so I'm just going to throw a Koba Berry, survive, and burn it. And he did it both games it played. So that was really cool. A nice defense from that. And then the Kartana was definitely bulking. You could definitely tell it was going for Steel Spikes to get the defense high enough. Like, you want to raise your attack? Fine, I'll raise my defense.
Right.
And kind of go from there. And it chunked that Cobalion back. Holy crap.
Yeah,
you see that max knuckle?
Yes, that was big.
Yeah.
And something else to keep in mind, you're staring down a +6 Pokemon for the second beat up.
Yeah, he beat up again.
Yeah, but like you add the burn on there, now you're +3, which is still scary. But
Yeah.
Something else to keep in mind: a lot of people that run beat up justified mons, they don't usually invest a lot of attack because they're planning on tripling their attack anyway. And so you burn that thing and get it, even a +1 and +3 after the burn, because they didn't invest all that in there, it actually did surprisingly little in a couple of situations.
I was shocked.
And because if you start getting those defense boosts, suddenly you're looking at almost neutral damage.
Yeah.
If you're +2 defense and they're +4 attack but burned, that's basically back to neutral. And they didn't invest a lot of attack. That. People just look, oh, he got the beat up off, game over. That's not oftentimes how it can play out. Now, if you don't have those other things like defense boosts and burns and things like that, sure, it probably is game over. But Texas did a good job of nullifying some of that.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought it was really good prep on both sides. When you see such a juggernaut strategy such as the beat up justified from two really good Pokemon that do it. It's not like you're just running an Absol with Justified and Salazzle with beat. You're not like it's those things can do it, but these two, they're like staples for this strat. But Cobalion, like the funny thing about Cobalion is it's only base 90 attack. Like people look at Cobalion because it's in-game legendary, right? Not so much considered a legendary status when it comes to the meta and VGC competition, because it's just in with the rest of them. Like they've just included, there's only legendary is considered only one available in the game. Is considered legendary. So people have this legendary tag attached to it, but it's only 90 attacks. So if you don't invest, like you said, Jay, if it doesn't invest any attack in the EV category, now you're at incredibly low. Like you're almost at like a max attack base 70 Pokemon. Right. And how much does a max attack base 70 Pokemon do? Not to mention, if you haze those stat boosts away, that's kind of scary not having any investment. So like you said, some guys, they throw it in defensive calcs, but I think it's always smart to throw it at least a little bit in the attack stat as well, maybe at least 100 EVs of some kind, just so you have something to fall back on, because the burn was definitely something that hurt him in Game 2. Game 2, it didn't even come. So Game 1, it hurt. Game 3, it hurt a bit. But Slowbro, I think, actually just kind of started picking things off. He set up with his Cobalion, which is very scary. But once it's burned, Slowbro comes in with its amazing coverage. It gets every move under the sun. Like it's just one of those Pokemon that's just so useful all around. So you're worried about the right hand that has a +6 Cobalion, and on the left hand you've got this Slowbro. It's like, I got a grass type, I'm fine. And he just flamethrowers and KOs of Dynamax Kartana. So that was really cool. And then, of course, in the back row, you got Lele and Linoon. You've already got some speed boosts on the Cobalion. It was basically game over at that point. So Distortion takes game 1 3-0. Very, very exciting. Game 2, I love when somebody responds. Just comes back with a response. Well, that didn't work. And then you come out with a new strategy. And what was that strategy, Jay? It was Tailwind Crobat with max speed Dragalge.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was max speed, but it wasn't min speed. That's for sure.
It was outspeeding things that I didn't think it was going to.
No. So that was really cool. He went for the Draco meter a few times and things like that. But yeah, definitely got the speed control right off the bat early, which definitely looks like something he needed in game 1. Went for it, and it paid off for him with a 3-0 win. Kartana was still the max candidate, but it was in the back row. And definitely just started kind of going off. So very, very good adjustment there, winning 3-0. Game 3. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Not only was the season on the line, not on the line, I guess, because there are still conditions, it's a hella condition that Texas has to deal with after that. But neither team wanted to be put in this position. So they wanted this game so badly, and it showed. So game 1 leads again. Across the board. Game 1 leads. And it pretty much went the same way. Shadow decides to go for the beat up again, which is very nice. But instead of rage powdering, he decides to go for the...
Right for the burn.
Right for the burn. He says, well, it worked. Let's go for it again. I'll eat this Airstream. It did. Decided to go for the burn, which didn't miss, which is always very nice. And then, not to mention the turn 2 string shot, and to counter the tailwind from the Whimsicott turn 2. So it was a lot of chess match like plays early, and then Airstream, string shot, tailwind. It was just speed across the board.
Speed right there, yeah.
Which is so important. People must be watching this or listening to this podcast, Jake, 'cause we talk about it all the time. Speed control.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it was
man.
good to see, though. A couple of interesting moves by Shadow. I don't know if he was predicting switches or what. Max Mindstorm going into Kartana, which resisted. Just things like that. Definitely, I think, is what was the difference maker between game 1 and game 3.
Yeah.
To make this game a heck of a lot closer than game 1 was. Shadow winning game 3-0 game 1. This one came right down to the wire.
Yeah, anytime you get, we said this earlier, every time you get a 1-0 win, you always look back at these little micro decisions throughout the match, and anything could have happened, right? So I think there's definitely scenarios where Shadow or Distortion Zone could have lost that week, and then now he's going to be fighting for his life to get into the playoffs. But unfortunately, it went on the wrong side of Texas this week, so now he's kind of fighting for his life right now. But I do believe that Texas could have won. I hate doing this because I hate when guys do it to me. But it did look like there was one situation after doing the stats for it, doing the recap that we're looking at right now, because we take our notes. We do really good notes, actually. We don't say half the stuff we write. But so if anyone's interested, we can definitely give the text for like the points and things like that for what happened. But turn 6. Was it turn 6? Turn 6. Yeah, turn 6. Crobat and Dragalge were staring down a Slowbro and Cobalion. Cobalion's got the boosts already. It's got the burn, things like that. But if Crobat goes into that Cobalion, which it did, knocks it down to 11% with the Brave Bird. Unfortunately, Dragalge didn't go for that same Pokemon and went for the Slowbro instead. Didn't quite KO. So now you have 2 low health Pokemon that are about to hit you back so hard, and they did. But I feel like if he went into that Cobalion, both of them, the Cobalion would have been dead before it got a turn off, and then both of you just KO that Slowbro. But when you have a long match like that, it's so hard to play a match without making any mistakes at all. And sometimes it costs you in the end. But turn 7, there was one condition where Texas could have won as well. The psychic move that he had to use against the Crobat was Zen Headbutt. Just to guarantee the damage on the win. It does have a 10% miss rate, so fingers crossed. And sure enough, it hits 9 times out of 10, unfortunately. And then Shadow, Distortion Zone, takes the game 3, 1-0. Holy crap, that was a fun week.
Good match. Yep.
Just overall, man, like I can't wait for week 8. Like it's just like especially those 3 matches that involve the 4 teams. We got Distortion's game, we got Texas's game, and 2 of them are friggin' facing each other.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great.
Who makes the schedule?
They say we rig it, but
they say, well, I did rigged it for exactly this reason. Right? For excitement. Right. I knew this was all going to happen. Oh, man, that was crazy. So that being said, let's look at the standings. Where does that leave us? So,
looking at just
this is
real
all
quick,
you, Jay. This is all you.
Yes. Space and I are sitting at the top 6-1. He obviously has me in plus minus because he's absolutely unbeatable right now.
He's amazing. That's why.
The next 4, Sapel, Exodrills, Toronto 6, Spider Phantom Troop, Great Marsh, Gastrodons all sitting at 5 and 2. Not a whole lot differentiating them there. There's a couple of plus minus points. And then this is where the exciting part is you have the Distortion Zone and Shadow rounding out the playoff slots, number 7 and 8, sitting at 4 and 3. But Svelvori, Calcos, and Texas are both within striking distance at 3 and 4. We'll get into some more playoff scenarios there, but they're right behind them. A couple more 3 and 4 teams that are out of it thanks to their plus minus, Florida and Seattle, and then Kyogre, Sapphire rounding out 2 and 5 teams, and then 0 and 7 for Los Angeles, Linus, and Cyanwood Cyndaquils.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. So 7, 8, 9, and 10, we really have to decide. Their futures will be decided this in week 8, with 7 and 8 getting to the playoffs, facing potentially 1 or 2 seeds, which could be pretty much anyone at this point, other than I guess them. They can't be 1 or 2.
Yeah, getting into that. So, let's start with that. Let's start with playoff.
Let's go from the bottom to the top. Let's go bottom to the top. So Texas, Svel, Dublin, Distortion. Let's work on those. So how does Texas make it, Jay?
Texas, he has definitely the most convoluted way of making it in. He has to hope he 2-0s his opponent, which is the Spider Phantom Troop.
So 2 games to none in the best.
2 games to none. But not only that, he actually has to get a 4-0 win in there.
Yes, because the teams he's chasing
all have 4-0 wins. And so, yeah, he's going up against probably one of the best, arguably top 3 players in the league, just based on championships. And he has to not only take him 2-0 in the match, but he also has to 4-0 him. And to my knowledge, has Octo ever been 4-0'd? We didn't discuss this before, but
I honestly couldn't even tell you. I bet it's happened at least once.
But yeah, so and then not only does that have to happen, but on top of that, the Distortion Zone, Shadow, has to lose 0-2 in week 8 to the Los Angeles Lions.
That too.
So yeah, so Texas has to win 2-0, get a 4-0 win, and hope this Shadow Distortion Zone loses his match 2-0 as well.
In the best of 3 as well. Yeah, that's a lot of conditions. But hey, you got to do your part and then watch the matches, right? So Texas is going to be doing a little bit of watching this week, but you got to get your own business done first, right? If you can't blame anybody else if you go in and you don't get that 4-0, you don't get that 2-0 win, but you leave it to the last week of the season. Man, sometimes fate is not in your hands, as it is this week for him. But Svelvori Calcos has a little bit better of a condition.
His is pretty straightforward. You win 2-0, you're in.
Yep.
He's facing Dublin Delmise. He's facing Lex this week, and it's between them. Dublin has him in a 3 plus minus. So if Dublin wins 1 game in that match, then Dublin seals the deal, and Svel's out. So Svel, but if he takes both games, doesn't matter. He has the other tiebreakers on him already. He just has to take both games, and he's in the playoffs. If he concedes 1 game of the match, even if he wins the match, if he loses 1 game in that best of 3, he's out of it.
Yeah, that's again another tall order. Dublin's no pushover, but he's kind of had an up and down season so far. But my match against him wasn't fun. Everybody that I talked to that's prepped against him this season, it's not fun. Even the way it went for Space City this week that just passed against him, it wasn't fun. You wouldn't be able to tell that based on how it went for him because he's just been playing so well. But it's definitely not going to be a fun week for Sviel until the week's over. But I bet he'll be happier than a pig in mud if he gets this 2-0. But and this would actually be the first time Distortion Zone hasn't made the playoffs if it happens. So my money would be on the team that always makes it. First of all, but Sviel...
Dublin Delmai's on that. You said Distortion Zone. First time Lex hasn't made the playoffs.
Yes. This will be the first time Distortion Zone makes the playoffs, actually. Good segue, Jay. Leading us to the Distortion... Well, actually, Dublin Delmai's. We already decided. We said that if he wins any game at any point...
He just needs to win a game. Yep. He wins a game. Doesn't matter about the match. He just has to take one game, and he is in the playoffs. Pretty straightforward there. Shadow, he wins any game. He's in the playoffs as well.
Distortion Zone, yeah. If he wins any single game at any point, because he's got a decent plus minus at his 4-3 record. He's got the tiebreakers, that's for sure. Which, ironically enough, he got his 4-0 win against the team just under him in week 1, didn't he? Against Dublin Delmai's?
Did he really? That's a good question. I mean,
you didn't think I knew that, did you? You didn't think I was any good at my job.
He did. Wow. He actually lost to Dublin in the match, but he got the 4-0 win on him, and that's given him that tiebreaker. That's pretty cool.
That was one of those, Mom, look what I could do. Look what I did. See, look what I did. See?
That's my job, Jay. Okay? You kicked me out for 1 week, and you start thinking you can take my job?
They took your jobs. They took your terms.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so 1 through 6. 1 through 6.
1 through 6. I guess we'll start with the top here. Just kind of looking at, so they've all clinched. So
are you crazy, Jay? You can't. You just went from bottom to top, and now you're just going to switch from top to bottom?
Well, I figured I would talk about 7 and 8 there as well. So
I did say 1 through 6. So let's go. Let's keep going from bottom to top. Great Marsh. What is the highest he could hit? Because obviously we know he can't miss. He can't miss. There is a scenario where he does finish 8th. We know that.
Yes.
Because he can't miss the playoffs, can't finish 9th, but he can finish 8th as well as a low end. Obviously wins and losses and things like that. He's got to take care of business this week for sure. But what's the highest he can hit?
The highest he can hit, I probably should have wrote these down ahead of time. I figured them out, but
I think 3.
I think 3. I think 3 is the highest. Nobody above him plays each other.
Yeah, because
Great Marsh can get up as high as 3.
Yeah, you being plus 8 at 6 and 1, you obviously you can only fall to 6 and 2 is the lowest you can go to, and so can he if he wins. But he can only gain 2 on his plus 3, and you can only lose 2 on your minus 8, which puts you at 6 and puts him at 5. He can't get to you, so that means he can get to 3. So again, when it comes to these playoff matchups, we have no freaking idea who's going to be playing who.
Right. You just figure Great Marsh right there can finish anywhere from 3rd place to 8th place. Depending on how things work out this last week. So
yeah, you could be on the top looking down facing an easier opponent, but you could also be at the bottom facing, say, Space City PC in round 1, which I don't think anybody wants with his plus 29 kill differential.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's something else we need to get into at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But moving up from Great Marsh, Octo, same, he could fall all the way. Technically, he could fall all the way to 8. It would be pretty crazy for him to do that.
Well, I think in that case, Texas would make it, wouldn't he?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I guess if Distortion loses, so pretty much if the conditions of Texas, him making the playoffs is met, I think Spider Phantom probably falls to 7 or 8.
Well, you figured Shadow and Dublin could both lose in 2-1 matches, and they would both be in the playoffs, but both be at 4 and 4. So like that's a scenario where Octo.
Oh yeah,
but then Octo doesn't fall all the way down. Octo could fall to
6,
but it would be crazy.
Oh yeah, 8. Yeah. I think so.
If Shadow and Dublin both win 2-0 and Octo loses 2-0, Dublin would also have to get 2 4-0 victory. Actually, now that I look at it, it would come down to kill differential.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a bunch of 4-0s and a bunch of 0-2s and the best of 3s and stuff like that.
Let's say Octo can fall to 7.
I was thinking 7, yeah.
I think technically he could go to 8, but that would be absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Octo can fall to pretty much to 7,
And he can go as high as
go
2.
all the way up to 2. Yep, he can go. He can catch me.
Another very specific scenario, like Vitor would have to lose, or sorry, not win 2-0. Like if he wins 2-1, he gets to a +7, and Octo could win 2-0 as well. No, I think Vitor has to lose for him to pass him. Yeah,
Vitor would have to lose as well. I mean, Great Marsh also getting to 3rd there's a lot of things that need to happen. But you, Jay, you can get all the way up to 2nd and fall all the way down to 8th as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep,
so if I can fall to 8, I think Octo can fall to 8 as well.
Well, Octo's 4 O's makes it a little bit tougher for him to. But you're right.
Plus minus,
yep, the plus minus. Yeah, you're right. So yeah.
So even the 4th seed can drop down to 8.
Yep.
This is crazy.
And actually, technically speaking, I believe Vitor could also fall to 8. Vitor could actually take the number 1. No. Vitor cannot take the number 1. I apologize. Well, I mean, he needs some 4-0 victories. Yeah. So Vitor could go all the way to number 1. He could also fall all the way to 7th, I believe. Again, we're talking craziness here, but basically 1 to 6, realistically, Vitor could fall. Continuing up, I could take the number 1 spot, or I could also fall down to 4.
3, I think.
Yep. 3, 4.
4?
Yeah, well, because Vitor and you can pass me.
We can? I guess so. I thought we were talking earlier. The furthest. I think we said furthest the space could fall is 3. When we were talking
5,
about
actually.
it earlier.
5 is how far I could. That's what it was. 5 is how far I could go. Space could only go down to 3.
Yeah. So now it's getting a little more clear based on like the least amount of scenarios that you can finish. Space City can only be 1, 2, or 3. And that's probably the simplest we can make it for him. But he's put himself in a really good position to be at least be in the top tier seeding, which is really impressive, man. To be in that situation is just so impressive. You yourself have had a really good season as well. And Vitor's kind of like winning games when it matters, and I'm losing games when it matters, things like that. But I think that kind of clears up. Did everybody get all that?
Right.
Yeah. There is no text file for this. We don't have any information on this.
Yeah. The last thing to talk about in the standings, and you touched on it, is shout out to Space's kill death percentage.
Setting records.
Setting records. I mean, he's sitting at a 2.21 kill death ratio, plus 29 kill death differential. And actually, do you remember what was in season 2? Kentucky Wild Bolts had the best kill death percentage, and it was like 1.9, right?
Well, yeah, I'm actually just looking right now, and if Space gets 0 and 8, 0-4, 0-4, he's going to be at a
1.7,
1.65, 625. So it's
I think your math wrong there.
24 plus 8 is 32,
31.
right?
31. Oh wait, my math's wrong. Yeah. No, yeah. So moving on.
That was so funny.
So technically, he could fall below Kentucky, but he pretty much has the kill death percentage record wrapped up at this point.
Yeah, like something really bad would have to go for him not to take this record down. So very, very good season so far.
We'll see. We'll see if he can keep it above 2. I think that's what I'm excited to see.
We're all rooting for you, man. Like I think we all want to see you do well, and you've already done well. Now we want to see you embarrass people. So let's go.
Until the playoffs, then we hope you lose.
Yeah, we hope you die a horrible fiery death in the finals, or if you're facing me. Yeah. We're talking about in the game, not die in real life. Like, no, you're no good to me dead. So.
That's right. We need you to make logos and stuff. You remember?
Yeah, and be a great dude.
Well, that too.
Yeah, it's just extra. They call that the icing
on
the cake. Yeah. All right, so that's the standings. We went through all the possibilities, highest, lowest, things like that. Everybody's favorite segment: how much I love megas. Yes.
This is all you, Jay.
Honestly, the megas, they didn't have a great week, but by comparison to other weeks they've had, not bad. 11 kills, 17 deaths. Still terrible.
Still bad.
That's like C tier. It's like C or B tier levels. But yeah, again with the no megas, we keep repeating ourselves every week. But one of the standouts was Altaria. That 3 kills, 1 death. Not bad. Had a good week.
And,
good showing.
How many pairs?
Yeah, that's
Like
we don't record
8?
that.
3 kills, 1 death, 8 pairs.
Yeah, that's a good mega right there. That's for sure.
That's right.
So yeah, I do want to see. I'm curious to see who wins the best mega this season as well. That's going to come down to a vote, and I think not many of them have been used a ton. So I think it's going to be just a handful that are going to be voted on because we do have a minimum games played amount. But I am definitely curious to see who takes down those awards. Those are kind of fun at the end of the season. I nominate, you guys vote because I rig everything. So definitely. Holy trades, Jay.
Well, that's what happens in a trade deadline. That's for sure.
I'm personally responsible for some of these because I did more than everybody this week. You would think that I'm on the outside looking in and I'm like fighting for my playoff life, but I've already clinched. But based on the amount of team changes I made this week, we had more trades this week than I think we ever have maybe total. Not to mention our first 3-way trade between you, me, and Distortion Zone. That was pretty cool.
Collusion. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So the 3-way trade that we saw, first inter-tier trade, first 3-way trade, first 5 trade week. Many firsts.
There was 2 inter-tier trades as well.
Yes, there was. So everybody knows that when it comes to trades, you trade same tier for same tier. But we did allow in season 3 that you can actually expand. You can trade 1 up or 1 down based on what you want, just to make trades more doable and viable and things like that. And it's definitely working because season 1, I think we saw 1 of them. It was a D tier trade. No one cared. Same thing as season 2, so we expanded it, and guys are starting to see value across other teams that you can make deals with and things like that. For the best trades are the ones that work out for both teams, and we saw a few of those this week as well. So first trade, Space City PC, number 1 seed, only makes 1 move, free agent or trade, grabs Galvantula in the D tier, and gives up his low punny. I think when he picked it up in the free agents, the low punny, I think he saw more value in it, thought it got coaching, things like that, which it doesn't. But low punny is very cool, but didn't really find a place on the number 1 seed team, and thinks Galvantula will put in some more work. Very fun mon, one of the better D tiers in the tier.
It's been passed around a little bit, but yeah.
The low punny?
No,
Galvantula. It's traded every year or every single season. It's like trade fodder for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good mon. I don't know if people just haven't been. I mean, it was definitely one that I was looking at in the draft day.
I think it's the best D tier.
I think it could be. I agree. And unfortunately, it's now on the best team, so it probably will be the best D tier the rest of the way.
Could you imagine if he makes use of his lower tiers as well? Oh God. Yeah, we don't talk about those things. The first 3-way trade. So myself, Distortion Zone, Cascade Illusions, we made a trade. Everybody got passed to your left. Pretty much it. I wanted Archeops from Distortion Zone. I wanted to see if I could make it work. I offered him actually a handful of different trade options. And it was no thanks. And offering Rabombi actually opened up a couple of doors, but he didn't really want the Rabombi. He wanted something that that Cascade wanted. No. Wow, I really ruined that. Rabombi was wanted by Cascade Illusions to make more room for something in the S tier, which we'll get to in a second in the free agents. So Archeops goes my way, Vaporeon from Cascade goes to Distortion Zone, and my Rabombi goes to Cascade. So we just a nice little circle. Everybody's happy. C tier for B tier for B tier. Fun stuff. I wonder if people even knew we could do 3-way trades. As long as everybody ends up with them on, I think no one really said anything. Yeah, it's one of
those. We've never really discussed it. When we were talking about it, we're like, we had to go back to the rules. We're like, this isn't like.
Is there any wording that says we can't do this?
Yeah. And it seemed to make sense. And from what I haven't heard any blowback, so it doesn't seem like people have a huge issue with it.
No, I think actually one of the teams actually went in.
I think it's a smart move. When you're like you said, you weren't getting you wanted Archeops from Distortion Zone. He didn't really want anything on your team, and that's fair.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm like, hey, you're giving up Rabombi? I would like Rabombi. maybe Shadow would give you Archeops if I give him something and I get Rabambi out of it, and I threw out Vaporeon, and Shadow loves that idea. So, yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense and might open the doors for some more three-way trades next season. I think that'd be really cool.
I hope so, because like instead of just looking at one team saying, "Hey, do you want any of these things? I want this." Like you can pick any of these 6 mons, and it's just like, "No, I don't want any of those." Ah, crap. Well, trade talks end. But if you include another partner, that
Right.
really opens up doors, because now you have 12 to choose from. We're
Yep.
talking across one up, one the same, or one down. 2 Pokemon per tier gives you 6. So I hope we see more of that, because like creative trades are always fun. I just want it to be fair. I had to veto a couple of trades this week because some guys are trading teams that are on the outside looking in, and they're just looking to grab something just because I have nothing to lose. I'm not in the playoffs. What does it matter? I just don't want any of that. Like if guys like, you know what, my team does get better by making this deal. Sure, why not? Both teams win. If you're a playoff team and you make a deal, I probably won't even veto it, because hey, you dig in your own grave if you want to make that deal. But when
Right.
it comes on the outside looking in, I got to be careful just for the good of the sport, the good of the game, that everybody's just kind of treated fairly, right? So that's the only, if you did have a trade vetoed this week, that's the reason why. I'm not doing it because I hate you. I actually vetoed my own trade earlier in the season. I was talking to another. It was funny. Yeah, it was literally. I was like, "Oh man, you'd give me that? Oh, but are you gonna use it? No, I'm just gonna drop it. I'm dropping it anyway, and I'm not using it this week. So just take it. I'll drop what you give me, and we'll go from." And I'm like, I can't make that trade, man. Like
Yeah.
you're doing me a favor. You're not gaining anything from this. I'm just like,
Right.
so
It's
I had
too
to
lopsided.
veto my own trade. But hey, I would have loved, dude, I'll tell you off camera or off recording what I was going to get. And you're just going to be like, oh my God.
You did already tell me, actually. So, but yes, it would have been. A
But
pretty
people
crazy
listening don't know that. It was all for you ruined it, Jay. Why do you ruin things? Stop ruining things.
trade.
Why
I'm
do
good
you,
at.
why do you
That's why
ruin everything?
that's why you've kicked me off the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe you won't be back next week. It's just like a punishment. It's just like, I'm not gonna be on next week, am I? Next trade. Toronto 6, myself, made another splash. Because of the free agent move that I wanted to make, a lot of these trade talks were because of another move that I wanted to make first. The free agent move I wanted to make was grab Thunderous. I actually didn't know who I was gonna drop, the Entei or the Glacier. Surprisingly enough, dropping Glacier didn't end up coming around, but based on the team construct, things like that. But when I wanted that, the Thunderous, Rotom Fan really became an excess at the time.
Right.
So I was looking around, I was really scrambling. I'm like, man, I can't have both of these things. It just doesn't make sense. They kind of do the same thing. One does more, one's a little better in the S tier, stronger, blah blah blah. But no, it was probably one of the easiest deals I've ever made. Hey, you want this for this? Sounds good. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Mark it down.
Well, I mean, and we've talked lots of times, and Rotom Fam's been kind of your MVP this season. So
It's been so good. I hope people have
surprised,
looked at it and they're like, "Wow, Rotom Fan is a good Rotom." And I hope people like look at it in the D tier. Same thing with Morpeko as well. I kind of want people to see how things work, and it fills a nice role. So I mentioned it. I didn't mention it. I got Kingler from Dublin Delmise, and Rotom Fan, my MVP so far, going the other way. But I think both teams won that trade, so I'm happy. He's happy, and I'm looking forward to seeing my Rotom Fan do some work against me in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a post playoffs podcast where we talk about, well, here are the worst trades of the season.
Of the season. Yep. And hopefully mine won't be on there.
Yeah, could you imagine the end of the season? I win a playoff run by knocking out Distortion with his own Archeops. That'd be pretty funny. But or he knocks me out with your Vaporeon.
Or, yeah, the Vaporeon knocks out the Archeops to clinch his spot in the next round. Wouldn't that be something?
Hey, that would be a good trade for him in the end, chalked up. But one of the trades we see as well, Kyogre Canucks made a deal with Great Marsh Gastrodons, trading the Articuno for the Gourgeist in the C tier. This one I definitely had to review because it is on a team on the outside looking in, with a team that's already clinched the playoff spot. I was given a good reason why Kyogre wanted Articuno. He was looking for Tailwind support throughout the season. Gourgeist, he tried it. It wasn't working great some weeks. It worked, so. And you know what? Great Marsh wins the trade. He felt like the Articuno wasn't exactly great on his team at the time. And Articuno's a good mon. Again, talking about legendaries earlier. Legendary in the C tier. I don't think that's an unfair trade at all. So that was definitely one I put my stamp of approval on. What do you think, Jay?
I agree. I think both of these teams, I think I don't have the stats up, but I think both of them brought the respective Pokemons once, and that's it. And it did okay, but not great, and they moved on. Both of them. It's not like Articuno was getting great use on Great Marsh's team, or Gourgeist was getting great use on Kyogre's team. Neither one of them were really using it, so I think, I don't see why this would be a problem at all.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if we saw Kyogre use the Articuno in the last week of the season as well. I don't think he needs to. If he feels like it's a good matchup, great. If not, then I think it's, again, a legendary for a non-legendary. I think both teams won this trade altogether. Last trade we're going to talk about, Spider Phantom Troop, another one that actually might have been frowned upon based on talking about videoing trades. But the reason this one went through, and the trade is Indeedee Male in the B tier going from the LA Linoons to Spider Phantom Troop for an Inteleon, which we just saw go off in Week 7 to get him the win. Actually saved his week because he lost Game 1. But LA Linoons grabs Inteleon from Spider Phantom Troop. Spider Phantom Troop grabs Indeedee in the B tier. So inter-tier trade, A for B. So first of all, the playoff team actually, according to tiers, lost the trade. So that right off the bat is kind of like, okay, well, he's giving something up, like actually something really good to get something. So that was a flag for me that kind of says, okay, this is looking good. But the reason I allowed this trade, even if it was same tier for same tiers, these two teams wanted to make this trade earlier in the season, and it was vetoed at the last second. So this was not an unfair trade when playoff contention was there for LA Linoons, and then as the season went on, was no longer on the table. So that's why this trade was allowed. So obviously Spider Phantom Troop being a playoff team and LA Linoons being 0-7. It's kind of hard for me to say no when they were already going to approve it when they were both looking at playoffs already. So that trade, I don't know how Spider Phantom Troop's going to make the Indeedee work. I'm actually curious, but giving up Inteleon, geez.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that, honestly, if it was going the other way, it'd be a pretty quick veto.
Yep.
But the way it went, like you said earlier, I mean, Octo has everything to lose here. I mean, Linoons is like whatever at this point. Octo's the one that obviously he sees something, some use out of Indeedee here, and wants to drop down tier to get it. More power to him at this point.
I love watching him play. I really do.
Yep.
And when you see a move like this, it just makes you want to watch his matches more.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yes.
yeah. And week 8's gonna be nuts, man. I think I've got some family thing on Sunday, which kind of sucks. Maybe I should blow them off for this this Sunday. Sorry guys, I got Pokemon stuff.
Got Pokemon things to watch. That's right.
My wife may disown me, but
Yeah, whatever.
yeah. She's a super.
Spent a couple
lady.
days in the doghouse.
She's a super lady, man. I gotta be a good husband, and Pokemon's good and all, but.
That's right.
Yeah, she's a super lady. So let's get my move out of the way. We've already talked about it. I did get a private message from a player saying when I acquired Thundurus Incarnate in the S tier and released the Entei, I got a message from a player saying, "Man, I'm surprised you dropped that Entei. It's been so good for you this season." I went, "Yeah, buyer's remorse." Because Entei has been good,
It has, yeah.
But Entei has the ability Inner Focus, which can't be intimidated, things like that. But when you grab something that is Defiant, it's almost like just an Inner Focus. It can still be faked out, because there is a secondary effect of the Inner Focus. But Thundurus, it's usually a Maxmon, has the Prankster ability, can be used support or offensively. I just thought it was perfect. And I think there was another player in the general chat when I just said, hey, who made the most impactful move this week? One of the players actually went, I actually think your Thundurus was probably an excellent move. I went, oh, thank you. Oh. I didn't think you'd say it. I didn't think you'd say it was mine. Obviously, I think I made a good move because I chose it. But there are a lot of other moves that we'll get into, so such as yours. The Rabombi pickup actually triggered this one, didn't it?
Yeah, it's something that, me and you had talked a little bit before. Rabombi was a possible backup in case I didn't get Comfey in the draft.
Yeah.
They do similar things. Obviously, Comfey with the priority and everything is nice. But I really felt like Rabambi, the way I was using Comfey, I could use Rabambi in a lot of the similar ways.
Yep.
And also gets extra support on top of that. So I thought, while Comfey does Comfey things better than Rabambi, obviously, I thought I could make do with Rabambi to do the Comfey things plus a little bit more. Also, and I think the primary reason is that frees up an S tier for me.
Yes, it does. I
went out in the S tiers. I'll admit there wasn't anything that really, really jumped off the page to me. But after doing some digging and searching and seeing what would fit on my team, I thought Charizard fit really well. I won't say really well. It fits well. A Charizard I think could fit well on just about any team, and I had some ways of thinking about it and how I could fit it with my team, and we'll see.
Can you give me an EV spread of what you're planning on running in week 1 of the playoffs? By the way, could you? No, but Charizard actually has been one of the most scary Pokemon in any game since the beginning of time. When it comes to Pokemon, obviously, don't think Charizard made much of an impact in Call of Duty, but but Sunny Day Charizard, things like that, Sunny Day, but Charizard in the sun with solar power, and not to mention the G-Max moves getting up to 150 power in some cases with the 1/8 residual damage. It's it's so strong, and not to mention stab airstream, which is so valuable, and this and that. So I think it was an excellent move. I don't think there's any team in the league that couldn't have used this thing. Obviously, there are things that work a little bit better that teams go for, but Charizard, I don't think you can go wrong with it. You just got to use it to its strengths, not its weaknesses, and recognize what its weaknesses are, and I think it'll be an excellent pickup. And another Pokemon supported by weather that you grabbed was Poliwrath in the D tier and dropping the Cursula. Cursula didn't get used all season. I actually asked you earlier today and said, you didn't use Cursula at all?
No, and I think part of why you asked that is because there were many teams that I built prep-wise that had Cursula on it. And unfortunately, whenever there was something missing that my team needed, I needed to bring in, whatever other Pokemon Haxorus or something. Whenever I needed to bring in a different Pokemon, Cursula was always the first to go.
Yeah, it was always a luxury, on the team rather than a need. So, unfortunately, It just kept on getting cut.
Yeah, but also, Poliwrath, kind of the opposite of Charizard, really. But I think picking up Charizard was, I don't think this is any secret. You start looking at my team, you start noticing a rock weakness towards the top of my lineup with Moltres and Charizard.
Mm-hmm.
I have some counters, obviously, with the Rhyperior. Haxorus isn't a direct counter, but gets very strong fighting moves. But I think Poliwrath helps alleviate that pain a little bit, could give me a switch in, and also does some cool things that Poliwrath was one that I was looking at in draft day as well, as a potential D tier pick. Again, obviously it didn't go that way, but
value in the D tier, holy crap. 95 across the board.
Yeah, I think it's bulky. Swift Swim, I have Rain Dance,
belly drum, coverage for days. It's just stab knuckle is always really, really nice if you went that route, but can be used in Trick Room and Fast Mode. It's just an excellent pickup, I thought. And when you have something that you're not really using in the Cursula, I think it was just a matter of time before you found something that fits a little bit better and was going to get used. So I approve of both of those moves, and you gave me an idea. Jay. You gave me an idea for a game we should play in chat, saying what is the opposite of this Pokemon. What a stupid question. No. What is the opposite? What is literally the opposite Pokemon? What's the opposite of Shuckle? I don't know, Regieleki?
Right.
Yeah, probably. Stupid conversation. But Vitor, Sao Paulo Extra Girls made a move as well. He grabbed Darmanitan, fired Darmanitan in the B tier, dropped the Azumarill. Man, that costs a lot to grab that Darmanitan. I hope he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, but Azumarill, I think he was looking for. I know he reached out to me personally 2 or 3 weeks ago, just offering trade. I didn't go for it that time, but I'm pretty sure I heard from a couple others that he was looking for Azumarill trades. I don't think it was fitting well with what he was trying to do on his team, and he figured, well, I don't really plan on using this thing, so let me go and get something else that hits crazy hard. Mm-hmm. And Darmanitan definitely does that.
He did use it too. I was doing some stat recording today, and I noticed Azumarill's been used quite a bit. this season for him, but it probably didn't have the results he wanted, and also the team construct and things like that. He's got the bigger picture involved, so Darmanitan seems to fit according to him. So I would definitely trust the previous champion to make the best move for his team. The latest move we actually got leading up to the trade deadline was Sphelavori Calcos, probably triggered by that late match, actually. The Shadow versus the Texas Landsharks. Spheel probably actually at one point thought he was out of the playoffs, and then that match happened, and he's like, wait a second, there is a condition where I could win this, right? Or I could get in, right? So he actually had 3 moves locked in. I won't say what they were, but he says, I'm like, are you sure? He's just like, I'm going to have some fun. And I went, dude, you can still make it. End of the day, the dust settles, the picture's a little clearer for the playoffs. And he says, you know what? Scrap those. Let's make this one. And he makes the X-Plowed for Glaceon move. I like X-Plowed. I've been telling guys about X-Plowed. Stab Boom Burst is really, really strong with specs and things like that. And the Glaceon just wasn't really getting used.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely where you start seeing a lot of this Pokemon wasn't really used a whole lot. So... might as well go to get something else, and maybe I have plans to use it, maybe I don't, but I obviously wasn't using the last Pokemon, so let's try this one.
Yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to. If you can't find a place on a team for 7 weeks, I think you may as well make a trade. What's the worst that could happen? You just don't use the new thing.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes grabbing a Pokemon too, just to give something to someone something to think about, is sometimes a nice defensive move as well. It's like, hey, I'm not using this. Let's grab something that's at least a little scary to consider. And, maybe that was it. Which leads us to our last move. Great Marsh Gastrodons, another later pick, drops the Rotom Ghost, base form Rotom. I was a little surprised by this because Rotom he's used it in previous seasons, and it's done really well for him, and it's actually gotten a little bit of use this season earlier, probably on the time that he wasn't playing the greatest. But I also think that was because the entire team wasn't fully complete yet, not because of the Rotom. I thought the Rotom did a really good job, but apparently he thinks Piloswine is going to make an impact on his team. Do you see any synergy on his team based on what he has right now?
I'm just trying to think of the rest of the team. I don't see anything specific. I think Piloswine's very good. It's a good Eviolite user. It gets real bulky if you do that, and it hits surprisingly hard. I mean, keep in mind this thing was, one of the many Pokemon that gained an evolution in Gen 4 from a previous generation. So it was the top of its evolution line in Gen 2. Mm-hmm. And similar to some other Pokemon in those cases. It was built to be a final stage and is now not. So, obviously, if it wasn't that, then it would be absolute garbage. But no, I think Piloswine gives some other options. I don't see exactly how he's going to use it. He does still have that really good Trick Room mode, and it could fit into there in some ways as well. So I'm sure he has something. Or nothing else, it could be a Rotom wasn't getting used, so here I am.
Yeah, like Oblivious, Snow Cloak, Thick Fat. It's got a base 100 attack and some okay defenses and the HP stats in the hundreds. It could be used in Trick Room, like you said. I think Piloswine can be used. I actually want to see it used. Ice type is pretty good, like when it comes to offensively, but it's also pretty weak defensively. So I think it definitely has a place. I'm curious to kind of see him use it. And sometimes the coolest Pokemon are the ones you don't expect. So let's hopefully use it. He uses it in week 8, and then we can kind of see that before I face him in round 1.
That's right.
It's like, that's what he wanted him for. Okay, cool. All right, so that's pretty much it for the moves.
Yeah, that's all. Whew.
Yeah, that was we kind of flew through a lot of the match recaps, and I'm glad we did because I really wanted to get into previewing the next week because it's going to be so exciting. Which the biggest preview we could actually have is Sphelavori Calcos versus the Dublin Delmise 9 versus 8. And man, I want to know when they're playing. I'm going to be on the edge of my chair. I'm going to crack a drink of some kind. Might be bubbly. And maybe some chips or something, and sit down on the couch and put it on the big screen. Because why not?
Now, chips, is that the British version of chips, the Great Marsh version of chips, or the Do you guys use the American version chips? I'm confused with all you Canadian things.
No, you know what we do with our chips? We throw gravy on it and cheese curds.
Oh,
Call it
so it is like the British version of chips.
actual chips,
Fries.
Lays,
Oh,
not
okay.
Ruffles.
Okay.
They're disgusting.
Oh my god. Okay. I think that's it. I think our friendship is over.
That literally might be the most American thing you've ever said. Oh my god, you don't like Ruffles? What's next? You like Pepsi over Coke?
No, I'm a Mountain Dew person. I don't like either of those.
Oh god. I prefer crab juice over Mountain Dew.
Wow. We're getting way off topic here.
Ooh. No, there was a
You know,
Simpsons
that
thing. It was a Simpsons thing with Mountain Dew and crab juice. Anyway. So game of the week. So let's bring up both of these rosters here. We've got Sphelavori Kalkos on the outside looking in. Needs a 2-0 as we mentioned. Loses a game. He's done. Mega Gardevoir, Dragapult, Grimmsnarl, Togetic for redirection. Rotom Heat has been amazing for him this season. Blastoise hasn't seen a whole lot of action, but that Shell Smash strat is really, really scary with the Togetic redirection. Could definitely be something to think about. Crocodile has been kind of his MVP, being used in the majority of his games in support and also offense as well. Gallade just being the nuke after the beat-up strat from the Dragapult. Dusknoir is only Trick Room setter, I believe. No, Gardevoir can set Trick Room as well, but Gallade can set Trick Room, Dusknoir can set Trick Room, but Dusknoir being the bulkiest out of all of them. Xploud,
Yep.
new addition. Fletchinder, he always talks about that bulky Fletchinder, something to be scared of. And Aggron, which we have not seen yet. I wonder if we have plans to see that in Week 8 as well. I stand by this. This is one of the scariest teams on paper that I still stand by it. Dragapult, Grimmsnarl, Rotom, Blastoise, Crocodile, Gallade. Like Mega Gardevoir is one of the better megas that we tiered before the season started, and I believe in the top tier. And that thing, this roster is just so nice. I just can't wait to see it come together in a match that's like do or die.
No, I agree. I think he definitely has the pieces there to do some serious damage. A lot of good coverage as well. Yeah, I mean, he's 4 straight pairs away from being in a really good spot this week. But he'll be fighting for his life. But he has the roster to do it. But looking on the other end though, I mean, Dublin is definitely another very, very scary roster. Yeah, you got Mega Swampert, S tier's Incineroar and Hatterene, Porygon 2, Klefki, Delmise, Mudsdale, Virizion, Tornadus, Therian. Gives him a little bit more of the fast mode that he's used a few times. Rotom Fan, recently acquired from our friendly neighborhood Jay over
It
here.
looks weird on this roster.
Alolan Dugtrio and Mantine, which he hasn't been afraid to use them either. So a hard slow. We talk about how good Dublin's slow mode is.
It's one of the best.
Spiel doesn't have much of a slow mode, but has ways. I can see it in Prison Dusknoir. I'm obviously not going to go into a lot of things, but he has ways of stopping it.
Yep.
I think it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be a great match either way. I'm really excited to see the 6 that they bring. I mean,
yeah, I think so too. I think we've seen a couple of really creative teams from Dublin Delmise. He brought one against me. I think the best way to go all the time is bring 2 modes. Doesn't matter what team you have. I think going all one way is just a recipe for disaster. Unless
and how many times this season have we seen Dublin bring a really creative, interesting strategy and either take the L or narrowly take a W, and then you see his next week's team and it's like his all-stars. It's the Incineroar, P2, Klefki, Mudsdale,
Hatterene,
and he just wrecks the next team that he faces. So you look and he just got kind of bullied by Space City with it wasn't a crazy team by any stretch of the imagination, but no Mudsdale, no Delmise, no Mega Swampert. It definitely was missing some of those pieces that people are scared of. And so I could definitely see him bouncing. Season's on the line to a point and just saying, all right, here's my best. And when Lex comes at you and says, all right, here's my best,
look out.
It's a scary situation to be in.
Yeah, I think you got to leave it all on the line, right? Like you can't leave your best horse in the stall, right?
No pun intended. or totally pun intended.
Well, he does have a Mudsdale, I guess, but no, I think you have regrets if you do that. I think if you don't bring, like, mid-season, you kind of throw guys off by bringing your D tiers and things like that, and weakness policy, a Lowland Doug trio, and all that stuff. No, he hasn't done that. But I think, in my opinion, my mentality and theory behind how draft leagues go is the top tier Pokemon, Mega, S, A, B. Those are your main team core members. You build the team around them. Then C and D tiers are complementary pieces. So if I would love to see in a do or die game 5 S, A, B tiers and then 1 C or D tier just for support or a role or something like that. And that way there's no regrets at the end of the season. I brought my best and I won. I brought my best and I lost. And then, you got to wait till next season. But the worst thing you could do is go in with a really creative team, really niche, very memey, people like to say, and then you end up losing for whatever reason, and then you're just like, wow, that was probably not the best idea. And then you got to wait, a month and a half, 2 months before you get to try again, right? So these do or die games are a lot of fun for everyone else.
Yes.
So I'm going to enjoy watching it, and I'm really glad I'm not a part of a do or die game in week 8, but hey, maybe based on how I play in week 8, it could be considered do or die. If I finish in the 8th seed, which we mentioned earlier, I can potentially. I could get smashed in week 1 of the playoffs, and man, wow, that game really did matter. Things like that. Right. So these two teams, I think, two very, very, I guess I'm gonna say sexy picks, things like that. We got a Dragapult, we got a Hatterene, we got a Grimmsnarl, we got an Incineroar. Very, very used Pokemon. Mudsdale has been the best Pokemon on Dublin's team. I don't think it's been killed all season. I don't think it has a single death. I think it's 8-0 or something like that. It hasn't died. Klefki is one of the better supports, things like that. Like, I think I want to see best on best. I don't want to see best on mid tier. No, I want to be blown away by this match, and I think we're gonna get it. Like Mega Gardevoir, Grimmsnarl, Togetic, maybe a Blastoise with some residual damage, the Gallade beat up strats, all the works. I want to see all of it, and I want to see all of you guys listening in voice chat watching this stream support the two teams going in. This is a huge match. I think everyone takes this league as serious as I do. I think everyone really, really wants to win, is as competitive as I am, and really, really wants to win. And we all want to see our friends win too at the same time. And unfortunately, I have 2 friends that are playing against each other, so I want them both to win. So
that's right. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. We're all happy. Everyone 8-0. Huzzah! Seeding. Everyone's in the first seed. No, Jason, we need to know who's actually playing each other. No, everybody wins.
No, I think I agree. It's going to be a great match. And I hope it lives up to it as well. I mean, as someone who, made it to the championships in season 2 and got blown out, I was like, wow, that was anticlimactic. And it's always fun when those big games also are as exciting as they're chalked up to be. And I think this has every possibility of being that, and I hope it is as well.
Yeah, let's do it. It's week 8, boys. We've been grinding through the season with we are all hanging out on the draft day, couple hours at least, hanging out, making picks, just enjoying the game. And then throughout the season, everyone's been competitive, competing, prepping together. Everyone's helped everybody at some point, I'm pretty sure. And this has just been great. And it's going to be sad to see it come to an end in the next handful of weeks. But half the teams are going home, right? And one of these two is there? I don't know. There isn't a scenario where both of them make it. No. Yeah, one of them's going home. Sfeelavori Calcos or Dublin Delmise, and I bet Sfeel would love to have Dublin miss the playoffs for the first time in his career so far when it comes to the WPL, and I think he definitely wants another sniff at the playoffs. He got his first sniff last season, and I think he's got a team to do it. I wouldn't want to face him round 1, but here we go. So Pick'ems, my favorite segment, especially when I'm losing as badly as I am.
Hey. You won last week, and I lost for the first time.
Yeah, eat it.
Thanks.
I won. Why do you suck so bad at pick'ems? I won. I won.
You know who really lost with those 4 straight paras? Was me. It was all me. I lost because of that. I don't care about Ant-Man's record at this point. I lost to Pick'ems because of that stupid Altaria.
Listen, don't hate the player, hate the game. All right.
That's what
Yeah, so last week Tevis picked Sphelavori Calicos and got hacked out. Both of them kind of lost a little bit that week. I picked Space City, and Space actually messaged me. It's like, what are you doing picking me? Like, dude, you can't pick me. You're like a curse.
He ended the curse.
And I hate to say it, everybody, the curse is broken.
That's right.
Curse is broken, boys. It only took to week 8. But we actually we messed up, didn't we? We actually didn't make our pick. We're about to make our picks live.
Well, it's because you said we are going to skip this at the last.
Nah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be
My
good too.
biggest problem is I don't actually remember who all I've picked.
Who cares? I want you to tell me who's winning the game of the week right now, and you don't have to tell me why, but I want you to pick one, and I'm gonna pick one too.
I'm going to go with Dublin Delmas, and here's why.
Yes,
because I picked him. I picked him to win the championship. So I hope
that's a cheap way. Well, and I'm gonna pick Sphelavori Calicos because he has the best roster, and it makes me look better if he wins because I picked him as the best roster, and my team that I picked the best roster would make the playoffs, and yours would not.
And you don't know that.
What's that?
Spheel and Texas can both make the playoffs.
Really? Did we mention that?
Unless I'm wrong here, because Texas just needs to.
Oh, Texas can pass Shadow.
Texas can pass Shadow, and Spheel can pass Lex. So technically, both of our picks could still make it.
Yeah, but we both know which one it is, and we're not going to say what it is. But we both know.
I am totally cutting this little section out when the miracle of Texas's season.
The miracle on keys.
Like he finds a way in with that crazy clinching scenario.
There are so many games like those 3 games. Man, the Texas game, the what's it called? This game we just talked about with Spheel and Dublin, and then we've got the last one that's that matters as well, right? Like
Shadow versus Linoons.
Shadow versus LA Linoons. Is he gonna get his first win and play spoiler? Or
that's right.
Yeah, oh my God, there's just so much. But we're gonna skip the predictions because they're all wrong. Actually, dude, yeah, if Dublin doesn't win this game and he loses, sorry, he needs to take a game. Your champion pick's wrong, and how embarrassing would that be?
I don't know. How about you tell me, Jay?
Well, let me tell you how embarrassing it is right now. As Kyogre Canucks has been eliminated from playoff contention based on last week. Yeah, crazy week. We're gonna get into some of the stats. Do you want to, Jay? I think it'd be like we got time, don't we?
A couple minutes here.
Couple minutes. We want to be under the 2-hour mark. So you guys can watch whatever you want. Just hit pause. That's all you got to do. We got to be here.
I think really the only thing that I wanted to point out was Slowbro. Slowbro came up and tied Moltres. I mean, it helps when Moltres didn't play. But Slowbro came up and tied Moltres for the kill lead. Slowbro did take 9 more games to get there. I have to toot Moltres' horn a little bit on that one. But still, who would have thought Slowbro would be up there?
Kill leader,
definitely the highest B tier. Metagross definitely made a push with that last week as well. Metagross one off of the kill lead now. So
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Metagross take the cake, but you got to get Moltres some action to get to take that title.
If nothing else, I just need Moltres to take the title just so you don't get the kills leader prediction.
Oh,
correct.
I did pick Metagross, didn't I? Ooh,
yeah,
Yo,
did.
Space, if you're hearing me right now, I have no money for you, but just do it, all right? Oh, man. I'll pay you in stock.
That's right.
There we go.
WPL stock. It's worth a whole lot.
Most games played, Slowbro, Mawile, Landorus. They're definitely 3 different Pokemon on 3 different teams with 3 different outcomes. We got one on the playoff picture right now, one that hasn't got a win, and one's just kind of near the bottom in Kyogre right now. But, 17 games played all season. Not bad. The most Dynamax Pokemon we have so far is Landorus T and Gyarados. The most deaths we've seen all season so far has been Mawile Incineroar, a first overall pick, almost competing for the deaths leader. But when it plays as much as it does, it kind of comes in, does amazing support, and just takes a couple deaths here and there. I think Dublin would take that trade most of the time anyway.
Right.
It's going to be hard to kind of do these win percentage ones, but so far, based on win percentage, I think one of the best ones we have is Salazzle, Rotom Fan, Umbreon at 7-1, but we do have a 6-0 Pokemon.
Yes, more Pico.
Who would have thunk it? More Pico being 6-0.
I was really excited when you said you wanted this Pokemon. I knew if anybody could use it, it was you.
Or Octo.
It just kind of fits into, or Octo. I definitely I would have liked to have used it. It didn't. I had roles filled elsewhere for that. So I was really excited when you took it. And yeah, you're making it work.
It's been good, man. Like I think it's made a name for itself. Like obviously I'm the one controlling it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's, oh my god, it's got feelings and stuff like that. No, it's heart, determination, perseverance, never giving up. No, more Pico has just been, I looked at it on paper and it just seemed to fill a lot of the roles. It does need a little bit of help with a couple of items here and there, but it hits hard and it supports with its move pool. It's just done so well. So 6-0 more Pico. Hopefully it makes a case for top D tier, but it might need a little bit more action. 6 games might not be enough. Not a whole lot going on in the D tier for the most part. But actually, let's get into a couple of the tiers and then we'll kind of end off here. So we've got, let me see. So the top mega so far, like if we look at just strictly kills as of right now, Mega Mawile's got the most kills, but also has the most deaths. So we're not really going to talk about that one as the best. But Mega Salamence being picked up mid-season by Sapphire has been not bad. Not bad.
It's been doing well there.
8 kills, 5 deaths. Not bad. But for the most part, if you look down the list, it's a lot of them are kind of split, like 7-10, 7-6, 7-7, 7-8, 6-7. You know, things like that. Like they're not really a great tier if you think about it. Even some of the better ones, like my Lucario was doing great and then lost 2 games this week, got 2 deaths. You know, one of the better ones that, in my opinion, this season was the Lucario until this week. So hopefully it makes an appearance in week 8. And beefs up some of those stats and takes the cake in this tier. What do you think, Jay? Which one stands out to you, or is there one?
I'm just looking down the line. I think Latias is good. It's leading in support moves with 10. Obviously being 4-0 hasn't came a lot, but when it came, it's been good.
I missed that one.
It helps to be on Space's team. You're automatically going to be in a good win-loss percentage in that situation.
Yeah.
Other high win-loss, Altaria, but it's only came 4 games. Manectric and Lucario, both of ours. Manetric's Kim's 11 games is 8-3 in the win-loss column.
Yeah, that's the one that stood out for me.
Has 8 support moves. It's 5 kills, 8 deaths, but
it's done everything though.
Right now, 4 of those deaths were my fault. Not its fault. So, yeah, I think there's not a ton. They're just like you said. They're not doing particularly well.
Yeah. So
overall,
so let's go to the tier that everybody really looks at. Like this is the cream of the crop right here, the S tier. There are so many that stand out here. Like I'd say Metagross is probably one of the better ones, along with Moltres. Those two are probably going to be competing for the MVP. Cinderace has been amazing too. 19 kills, 8 deaths. But when you see those kills at 21 kills, 4 deaths, 20 and 4 on the Moltres and Metagross respectively, it's kind of hard to even look any further down the line, right?
Right. I mean, Finny could be. Well, yeah, Finny's even at 17 and 6.
It's a great record.
Passive kill.
It's just by comparison, right? To those other two, it's kind of hard to let's even support S tiers. Like I'd say, any standouts here. We got Ndidi leading the way with 25.
Dragapult has done kind of a mix.
Doesn't have the
both.
results really. Like not a whole lot of great support S tiers. Cinderace has been okay. I think there was a fake tier set with Cinderace once.
Well, against me, he brought Well, Cinderace didn't have fake tears,
I thought
so
it
you
did.
probably
I thought it might have had it maybe once, maybe a little
yeah.
bit more of a supportive Cinderace, but I could be wrong. But Whimsicott is usually up the top in the S tier, being one of the better support mons in the game, and just hasn't really done that role the greatest this
Right.
season. It's been good, very scary. Tornadus as well, normally one of the better ones. Grimmsnarl, same thing, hasn't been used a lot. Incin, you can make a case for, but I want to see Dublin make the playoffs for this thing to get a sniff at top S tier, even close to
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think a sneaky one that I don't think will even, it probably won't even qualify, but maybe should, is Spectrier. I'm looking at Spectrier down here. It's only played in 4 games, in large part because it hasn't been on a roster for very long. But it's 4-0 in all 4 of the games it's played. Um, it it it's been putting in work. It hasn't. It's only been used the last. It's only been available to be used the last 3 weeks. So
I think Spectre was
I don't think
definitely.
even I don't think even if it comes in both games this upcoming week, it'll probably make the cut. But one to definitely look at, especially going to the playoff.
Yeah, I think Spectre definitely deserves a shout out as probably the turning point of Great Marsh's season. I believe when he
Right.
picked that thing up, it was a whole nother identity on his team and gave him like a confidence in team building and prep and things like that. That Spectrier is definitely going to get an award, a personal award on his team for the impact it's made. So I think good shout out for Spectrier.
Hey, another award possibility. What do you think of this? Mid-season pickup award, best mid-season pickup.
So I'm trying to think, when would we cut that off? Would we talk about early season or like
I would say like post week 3.
post week 3?
So like
So are we going to include week
post
7,
week
all the
5.
deadline stuff?
I mean, I think you could, but I don't think you probably would because they're not going to make a big impact. I don't know. We could talk about it offline, but it's, something to keep in mind.
I say weeks 3, 4, and 5. I would say what's been the biggest weeks 3, 4, and 5, because it's not like you did your draft. I got to make a change. Maybe end of week 2, something like that.
Maybe 2. Maybe post week 2.
Yeah, because you can lose the first 2 weeks of the season, and then you're just like, I need to make a move, and it's a huge impact,
Right.
and then your team starts just killing it. So I think that's actually a good thing. Hopefully you remember that. Write that down. Write that down. If you're back next week, because there's still more podcasts to bug me. Right. So the A tier, we do have the A tier, and then we have the A plus. The A tier with the asterisk because it was picked up in week 7. Because some teams have that third A tier or the third B tier based on inter-tier stuff. But in the A tier, I don't see a ton. Well, actually, yeah, Excadrill's probably just been the biggest monster I've seen. 13 kills, 2 deaths.
Yeah, I think Darmanitan's up there as well. It's 13 kills, but with only 2 Dynamaxes instead of 6. Obviously, more deaths as well for that, but obviously, another monster.
Another
I
tier
think
too
Porygon-
with the support moves. Like not
Yeah.
a whole lot of great support records. Like you usually look at the support moves totals and then you look at the win-loss record next to it, how they've done, and you see a lot of 3-7, you see a lot of 3-5, 2-7, things like that. So that to me is not exactly a great support mon, even though they're getting the totals that they want, but it's not leading to wins. So Excadrill with the 13 kills, 2 deaths, being 7-2 has just been a great standout so far, and Darmanitan as well, 6-3. It's definitely notable, but those will probably be the nominated ones. Maybe the Gigalith as well, being the kill leader, but it's just a quick B tiers. We've been beating this with a dead horse, like beating the dead horse with this one.
I think Slowbro's the obvious pick here.
Yes.
21 kills from the B tier.
I agree.
And it's also leading in deaths, I think, because it's just come so much, but I
Hey.
kind of don't care.
Yeah, and overuse. I don't think anybody thought Slowbro would be at the top of the kill leader for sure before the season started. So if we go into the C tier now, let's start with kills like we usually do. Gallade being 11-4, just been a monster with that beat up strat with the Dragapult, but doesn't 3-3 record when it comes to kill deaths, so not great. But Salazzle being 7-1 in my opinion. With the support moves and the kill death only being 3 kills, 6 deaths, but it's been winning games. It's been doing its job.
Its role has been other places. I think that's got to be the best Well, I mean,
I don't see anything else, to be honest.
no.
I think this one's, unless it really messes up or something really stands out week 8, it's probably taking
Right.
the cake. But power of suggestion. I'll get you an award, Jay. I'll get you an award, Jay, everybody. Last but not least, the D tier. Let's see. This is probably one of the more exciting ones. I'd say Heracross is pretty cool with 6 kills. Hasn't exactly been on a playoff team all season. Lurantis had that really great week. Or the really great game, really.
One game. Yep, it was one game.
Yeah, 4 kills in the one game, just getting a sweep. I wonder if we'll see it again in week 8. But again,
I mean, I think you got it. I think Cottony's got to be the one here. I think. I mean, it's been played by far the most, more than twice as much as the next closest. 36 support moves on the season.
Not even close to anyone else. 36 is like triple anything else on this list.
Yeah.
So I think Cottony's going to walk away with this easily. Hasn't
I
even killed a lot.
No, I think Morpeko with its 6-0 record could make a sniff, but I think it's going to be hard to pass up that Cottony with how just that. I think when you're looking at D tiers, just the fact that it's come 14 games played, 6 weeks brought, so it's brought all but 1 week. I mean, that right there is the kind of D tier stats that you want to see.
Well, yeah, and we were talking earlier. I'll shut up right now because I was saying that most of the team's core should be built in the top, like the S, the A, the B, and then the D is a supporting role. It looks like the team was built around Cottony.
Right.
He's higher. He's a better player than I am, so I think Cottony it's definitely getting noticed for future seasons. So, but that pretty much does it for the for the tiers. Just a little bit of a preview for the voting that's going to be happening after the season's over. So the teams that are not going to make the playoffs, still be involved in the chat, still be involved in voting. Hopefully you guys can get an award nomination of some kind. So a little bit of a salvage on your season. There's no WPL Academy because we wanted to spend a little extra time on other things, previews and such, and the playoff picture, the whole picture. So hopefully you guys tune in next week, and we'll learn a little bit more. I guess the whole episode's been a WPL Academy, hasn't it?
The WPL Academy is just the things we learned along the way.
And we had fun doing it, right?
That's
And
right.
the friends we made along the way.
Well, I think we've been losing friends
Due to this podcast?
due to this podcast.
Why does this guy not talk to me anymore?
Lays are better than Ruffles. I don't know. This is garbage. This
Uh,
is garbage. Garbage
We're
takes.
going to call this episode Ruffles.
That doesn't.
No, it's nothing to do with Pokemon, but we should do it. Everybody, thank you for watching. I'm waving again. Hope you all can see me. No one can see me. I'm waving anyway.
No.
But thank you, Jay, for tuning in. It's been great, and good to have you back. And crazy week, guys. Tune in this weekend. And,
Good luck.
good luck. Have fun. Peace.
It's the world.